What up, my friends? How are you doing? I'm good. I just got in from work. We're here for our weekly manifestation oracle message. We had a really good anchor message yesterday. I would encourage you to take a look at yesterday's reading and check in with our weekly energy oracle forecast for the week. Lots of really exciting potential in the air. This is the kind of week where things are shifting under the surface and we are beginning to see sparks of light. I went ahead and pulled our cards for tomorrow today because I was going to try to record our lunation workshop tomorrow. We have a big buyout at work on Thursday, so I'm going to have to go in early. So I just was taking a look ahead and it's all very hopeful. So I'm very excited. So things are starting to take a positive turn. It's like Pluto stationed direct a couple of days ago, and little by little, it's like the momentum is gathering slowly but surely, but life is like improving. It really is. So let's see what we need to know for this week for our manifestation. See what we need to focus on. Well, hot dog, divine magic. Extra magical energy surrounds your situation right now, so expect miracles. I can't remember what this week I did something because I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to expect miracles. And it was just like things just kept falling into place. One funny thing happened. So if you guys are familiar with Temu, the Chinese, like, it's almost like Sky Mall. It's an online store, factory to like audience, factory to consumer, I'm assuming. And they reel you in with these chances to spin the wheel for like a discount. Well, I got like 100% off. And like I had looked up this thing that I was kind of had on a whim, like wanted for my Halloween costume. It was like a wig. So I looked up this wig and then like Temu had the exact wig that I wanted. They always have the exact thing. I don't even know if Temu's real. It's part of the simulation. It's just reflecting your inner desires. I'm serious. So then it's like spin the wheel again to maximize your gift. And I got 4 items for 100% off. And so I'm laughing because it's like you can only get the items on this page though. So I start scrolling through the page, and at first I'm like, I don't need any of this stuff. This is nothing that I want. But then I kept scrolling, and it was like everything on my list of just recent like whims or things that I needed for something were on that page. And I was like, did they read my mind? But anyway, long story short, I kept getting more and more discounts and more coupons and more items that were like in my mind that I needed were just like there on this page. I was like, oh my God, I've manifested like 6 things for free. It's insane. And so by the time I got to the end, it was kind of a trick, but like there was a total. I was like, this should all be free, but there was a total of like $67. And I decided not to go through with it because even though I could have like just gotten like 5 or 6 things that I wanted to manifest, I was like, I wasn't going to spend the 60. I was just going to like look for a wig. And all of these things, I was like, I'd be better off to get the quality instead of like the free like poorly manufactured version. But I was just like, man, it's like the universe delivers. I've been doing this exercise that I was taught from a YouTube commercial by the guy who's like the CEO of Mind Valley. I can't remember his Vision, I think is his name. And he was telling things that like exercises that are related to the Silva method. And he suggested that when you first wake up for like 30 days, try this exercise. So upon waking, lay there long enough to count backwards from 100. And that gets you into maybe the theta brain waves. It's whatever brain waves like get you in touch with your subconscious, and you have a very impressionable subconscious. It's like a hypnotic state. And so from there, you can say affirmations and things that you want to call in. And so one of the things that I have been saying when I'm in this hypnotic state is that everything I want and need comes to me with ease, just effortlessly, sometimes for free. And I manifest these things in crazy ways. And I just thought about that day. I was like, oh my God, literally everything that's like on my list of random things that I could need or want right now was like in that haul. And I could have had them all out the door for just $67. I was like, yeah, I don't need them. So expect miracles. I could have been like, no, I'm not going to do the whole Timu thing. And then I wouldn't have known that I had manifested all of those things instantly. But yeah, we've just been busier at work this week. Everything has just been, it's like this. This rabbi the other day told this great story and I didn't know. You know, growing up, I always had so much like deep interest in the book of Genesis, particularly Genesis, the first couple of chapters that take place within the Garden of Eden. And in Jewish culture, there is so much more, I guess, like breakdown and legend and myth and more detail around what was going on in the Garden of Eden than you get like taught in, say, Protestant church. And so there's like, you know, all these details left out. So I love listening to rabbis talk about anything to do with like Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. And this particular, I got like a runny nose. It's that time of year. It's like started to get cold. I just turned on the heater. I'm so excited. I have a little sniffle. But this rabbi was like, when Adam was born, or when he was created and he was brought to life and he awakened, he didn't see beautiful gardens and waterfalls and mountains and glorious paradise. He saw a barren wasteland that probably looked a lot like the surface of Mars. This is because until Adam was there to receive the goodness of the Creator and to be able to perceive the beauty with appreciation, there was no point for the Creator to really have anything ready or make anything until there was a vessel to receive it. So the rain hadn't come yet. And so they were like this rabbi was talking about how everything was perfectly poised at the very edge of breaking through. Like the plants were completely formed and in their whole perfection, waiting to burst forth from the surface as soon as the rain fell and hit the ground. And, you know, I think it was like Rumi or one of the mystic poets that said that that rain is God's grace condescending to earth and condescending to mankind, or something like along those lines, something to that nature. And there's some truth behind that, because before Adam was there to appreciate the beauty of the world and the lushness of it and the fullness and the abundance, there was no need. And so there was no rain. And so everything was dry, but it was ready to burst through in total fullness as soon as he was there to comprehend, perceive, and appreciate. Now it's like, okay, well, why didn't the rain come as Adam was being born or created? That way, when he awakened, he would just see the green. So that Adam could appreciate the beauty of the lushness of the green around him, so that he would know as a steward of the garden what it's like when there is no life, when there is no beauty, when it's just a barren wasteland, right? You can't appreciate the fullness and the abundance if you haven't seen without the abundance, right? You wouldn't know the difference. You'd just be like, well, here it is. So in order to fully appreciate the beauty, Adam had to awaken into a barren wilderness. And look at us, like when we go through the hard times, especially these last 16 years with Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, and well, Pluto's transit through Capricorn and Pluto's recent like year-long retrograde in Capricorn. Or the retrograde in Capricorn, I'm not sure how long that was, but Pluto's transit through Capricorn is what we're talking about, the 16 years. that was so difficult. That was like us being in the wilderness, right? It was preparing the vessel. And what is the vessel? The vessel can be many things, but a lot of time the vessel is a code word for desire, right? When we have built the vessel, we have a desire, so much of a desire to be like the Creator, to have affinity with the Creator, that we will give of ourselves and make an effort to attain that desire, to have the fulfillment of that desire. It's like if you like really want, if you want something bad enough, you will do what it takes to get it. That is building the vessel. It's building that desire to be willing to do what it takes to make that happen or take care of that thing and maintain it, right? When you know what it's like to have no money and then you work really hard for your money, you are careful with that money. You're prudent with that money. You're wise with your money. You want to learn how to grow that money and manage that money and not waste it. And so you have a desire to make an effort to do what it takes to protect, maintain, and grow your investment, right? So when you have lack, when you experience difficulty and lack, it's the Creator uses that to spark a desire in us to go after our purpose, to dig deep and realize our untapped strengths and potential. And, it gives us that hunger to go after what we want. So this difficulty these last 16 years has developed like our desire to, it has developed our desire to want to become better, become more developed people and become healed and, explore our spirituality and deepen our connection with Holy Spirit and with God. And so that has served us well. And now we're here at the end of this difficulty and things can start lightening up. And so it's not like it's going to be that way for everyone. Many of us know people in our periphery that their lives have just now started falling apart. We're like, oh, we've been doing that for like several years. We've recalibrated. We're stable. And that's because we were pioneering to prepare for when the rest of the people that we knew, like it all fall apart because they didn't have the desire. They haven't been changing. They haven't been doing the inner work. And so now that the universe is like, all right, well, mankind is moving forward. And so you have to have your evolution, like, I don't know, hot and fast and raw. and we got to kind of do it gradually. So beautiful things are going to start happening and we can expect good things. We don't have to keep looking over our shoulder thinking that the rug is going to be ripped out from under us. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel because we've been doing the work to chip away the darkness so that we have that opening to be able to see that light. So be in that state of divine magic right now and get your bearings, because the people around you that are just now going through the upheaval and the transitional catalyst stuff that makes you want to change, that's all very hard. And they're kind of experiencing that on like the last wave to make it. So it's happening in a more intense and severe way for the people that are just now going through it. You're being helped. Heaven is working behind the scenes to help you, even if you don't see the results yet. So it's like more like keep expecting miracles. Just know, even if you can't see things with your eyes, if you can't see the evidence of it, have that faith that transcends logic and reason. That Hebrew word for that faith is called emunah, right? Emunah is being able to have the strongest certainty that the Creator is always working on your behalf, that the Creator is working for you, and that life is presenting in such a way to help you open and to help you evolve and to help you elevate your soul if you perceive it in a way that allows you to process in that way. So the Creator's always helping. We've got our angels and our spirit guides and our spirit team all they're all in the case. Everybody's all hands on deck. the parts and pieces of our lives are moving behind the scenes. Things are like the puzzle pieces are coming together. And so maybe you have a huge career opportunity or a job offer that you don't even know about yet, because the person that's making the space for you in that company is packing up their moving truck to go across country and like propose to someone, right? So they're leaving and that space is opening for you, but they still have another few weeks at that company, right? We still have another few weeks of Pluto and Capricorn, and like third week of November, I think, is when we're moving into Aquarius, and that will be lighter and quirkier and zanier and original and inventive, right? Like we're reinventing. So things will be a drastically different energy than what they have been in like the give me physical results, Capricorn. So very like heavy material, difficult, laboring, is coming to an end. So that's very exciting. So just know that heaven is working behind the scenes. Maybe your soulmate that we've been warned about for what, like 2 or 3 years. Every freaking reading, the soulmate card comes out. It's like that person is the person packing up in the moving truck that the other person is going to take their job, and they're moving to your town, and you're going to meet them soon, right? Like think about it that way. Like things are happening backstage behind the curtain, props and characters being brought into the wings to be ready for their cue. Self-forgiveness. This is what I've been focusing on recently. Let go of old guilt and remember that you're God's perfect child. The way that I have been, like God's been talking to me about self-forgiveness, it's been such a concept for me, and it's been hard for me to have that as like to feel that truth, right? I can intellectually forgive myself, and I can tell myself, like, you're forgiven and think about it. But, like, to feel in my heart, I forgive myself for everything I've been through, for all the choices and mistakes and times that I fell short, or prioritized other people who didn't care, didn't value me. And I could have been investing in myself and investing in my purpose and in my gifts and in my, dreams, and I didn't. I put my energy into supporting those who I thought loved me. And if I could go back, I would have put more of that love on myself. And it's hard to feel like deeply like, oh, I've been forgiven by myself, and I forgive you, self. And I'm like, oh, I'm forgiven, and I forgive you, self. And like, we all forgive me inside of me. Until I thought about it like this. When you think about this 16-year cycle, and you think about, okay, go back to the year 2008, and think about yourself 16 years ago, before you've been through hell and back, right? I think that, like, think about it. This evangelical Christians believe that the tribulations would last 7 years. And every year since like 2001, evangelical Christians have been like, these are the end times. So we've been through like, I don't know, 3 tribulations at this point, almost. They just keep getting more intense. So think back to that person in 2008 who had naivete and optimism and trust, and they were a bit foolhardy and not prepared for what was to come. We had no idea. Think about like that version of you is like this baby version, and you didn't have the strength and the resilience and the toughness and even, the jadedness that shields you after a while from those deep heartbreaks where you got blindsided and you didn't see it coming. You get older, you get wiser, you don't get blindsided as much. Deep down, you can tell yourself you're blindsided, but nothing is blindsiding like when you're wet behind the ears, right? So think about those heartbreaks. Think about you trying to navigate the uncertainty of life, trying to make decisions that were the best for yourself when you didn't know how to make those choices. Think about trying to make decisions that were interdependent when you didn't know what codependent was and you were deeply codependent and didn't know how to heal that because you didn't know that you were in a dynamic that was dysfunctional. You didn't even know what the paradigm should look like, right? So think about the pain and the confusion and the bewilderment and the disillusion and the loneliness and the tiredness and the fear and the struggle that you've gone through this intensity, especially if you're a cardinal sign. If you're a Capricorn, a Cancer, a Libra, or an Aries, this has been even more intensified for these signs. I'm an Aries sun, Cancer moon, Libra rising, and my third house of communications is in Capricorn. So my whole career has been in communications. I worked in TV and film production and then quit that to do this. And it has been difficult. And I can't say that I felt very profitable or very successful, but hopefully that is going to change and the energy is going to shift. And I say that just to give you guys some solidarity, that if you have been struggling and felt like, wow, am I just a failure? Do I have like a black thumb? Am I cursed? We're almost out of this. It's not going to be like this forever. And so it makes it so much easier to feel a deep sense of compassion and mercy for yourself. And you don't kick yourself in the ass anymore for things you should have done or could have done or would have done, had you this or that, It's just like what's done is done. It helped build the foundation that we've built upon and tumbled down and demolished and rebuilt over and over again. And now we're here. And the worst of it's over. And now we have strength and grit and moxie and all of that, those ingredients it takes to get out there and seize the day and find our purpose and bloom, blossom more into our deepest potential and align with that higher self. So it's a relief. It's exciting. It's like bittersweet. I've kind of had these moments where I'm just like, kind of cried for myself, not because I feel sorry for myself, but because of that feeling of like when you watch like someone like say like a young kid go through something that's like a terrible disappointment and they're not equipped for it. You're just like, oh gosh, this is going to be one of those things that sticks with them, makes an impression on their life, and you're just like, oh, it's so sad for them. They're so innocent. They don't deserve this yet. They're not an asshole like the adults, So forgive yourself, let go of old guilt, and remember that you're God's perfect child. And remember that in Kabbalah, we believe that most of our life is mapped out in these plot points. If you've ever seen the show Curb Your Enthusiasm, the structure of the show is that the scenes are outlined, but the characters themselves, the actors, they improvise the dialogue. They improvise where the scene goes. So the main plot points are there, but what they do once they're in the scene and how they react to one another and the choices that they make within their interactions, that's what they have control over. And that's like us, we have these major plot points that are decided beforehand and we have no choice. But the free will that we do have is that we get to decide how we meet those moments and how we navigate through those simulations and training scenarios and tests and learning, and lessons and all of it. We may be brought into a moment of like an event that we were always going to be a part of, right? Like maybe something happened and it was like there was no getting out of it. You were always supposed to be there. But it's how you navigate the aftermath of that event Is it going to beat you down in life? Or are you going to feel like terrible about it? Or are you going to double down and harden your heart and become more corrupt? Or you know, like, are you going to learn from this and change and improve? Are you going to let it break your heart open? Those kinds of things. You know, if we had difficult parents, that was planned before we came to Earth, and the way that they were difficult was there to catalyze the thing that would open us up into our growth and into our greatest gifts. Self-employment. You're a born entrepreneur, and your business is surrounded by magical opportunities. So again, you guys, if you've been, you know, trying to get things started for yourself and you always thought you'd be an entrepreneur, or you always thought you'd be self-employed in some way, and it just hasn't worked out yet, things are different now than they were. It's like a different playing field. Things are like the ways that life threw lemons at us, like pelted lemons at us, it's not going to be as severe anymore if you've been doing the work. I think that life is going to show up in a way that's going to offer you opportunities to even things out. So whereas if you tried to start a business before, it was just like everything felt like pushing a rock uphill both ways. It's like never really fruitful, like all of your work never like really resulted in much. It's going to be a lot easier and a lot smoother this time around. It's like the general resistance isn't going to be there. To sit down and do a task isn't going to be as difficult. Like when you get into the task, it's not going to be like one shitstorm after a dumpster fire. It's like things are just going to kind of flow. And you're like, whoa, I've never experienced flow. Just ease, like what? So are we okay? Like, we dead? So yeah, it's very exciting. So don't give up on yourself. If you feel like you're a born entrepreneur, or if you're building something or working towards something, or like you wanted to write a book or put something out there in the world, and you started to second guess that it was ever going to happen, like don't give up on yourself quite yet, right? We are weeks away from a huge shift in energy. And then this coming year, starting in January, like all our planets are going to shift into new signs, and then the nodes of the moon are going to be shifting too. So we're going to be shifting out of water and earth. Predominantly all the major planets and everything have been in like water and earth signs, which have been, I mean, think about trying to run through water. It's resistance. Water wears things down over time. It can be insanely destructive in the most subtle and gentle ways. And impressionable, right? It's not necessarily destructive, but it does make its mark. Water carves through rock, you know, and it's just this smooth liquid that like rolls over the surface of it, right? And then you got earth, you know, obstacles, heaviness, you know. So we're moving into fire and air, which is like combustible steam engine, right? It's like fire and air. You've got blowing on a fire, just gets it burning. And so things are a lot more fluid and movable in air and fire, and fast, with a lot of energy behind them. So that's very exciting. So I think there's going to be a lot more ease, a lot more flow, a lot more passion, a lot more good times. We're going to be heartier. A hearty woman. All right, you guys, I am gonna take a hot shower and have my din, and I will see y'all tomorrow for our weekly alchemy message, where we look into our spiritual lessons for the week and kind of unpack the process and how we're approaching it. Ciao. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, then please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to be notified of when I drop content. Like the videos, comment, share them. Anything that you do helps these messages get out to other people who need them. So you watching a video and taking an action on it actually makes a positive difference in someone else's life.